we feel would be realistic.
Who's we? Who's we?
Our membership committee and the board.
Okay. How many's on your membership committee?
Right now, 3.
Good. And the 4 of you sat down together?
We haven't.
Yeah, we did before the year started.
Before. Good, good. And your board?
Yes.
Was it involved in that setting of that goal?
They were told about the goal after. So I was at the meeting.
That's all right.
Yes.
So they were told about the goal.
Correct.
Did they buy into it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, listen carefully what he just said, because he gave you all the clues that you need. So, we're going to, club presidents, raise your hand. Okay, we'll start off with you. Stand up. I'm going to get to you in a minute, don't go away. What did he say? That's what I thought. Give me a sit. Another club president. Over here.
Cancer.
No, notice that fewer hands are going up now. Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Listen, remember, this is a training seminar. And everything that we're doing here is to train so that you can learn what's happening and how you're going to do certain things and not do certain things. And I have no problem in saying, hey, we got to listen. I teach every week a small group of young people. And we start off with a word of prayer. It's a religious thing. And after the first day, someone gave the prayer, and I said, well, what did they say? Nobody knew. Because I said, well, don't you think it was important that you listen to what the person is saying? It's very true. We think that we're communicating really well when we're not. Okay? And so that's what you're learning right now, that, hey, sometimes we have to say things 2 or 3 times, and so you're on. What did he say?
He said to set realistic goals, get the membership committee together to chat about it, realistic goals, get buy-in from the board, and then present it and start planning a year ahead.
Perfect. Now, ask yourself, you don't have to raise your hand unless you want to, how many of you have done that? Okay. I just want you to think about it for a minute, because what he said is absolutely perfect and absolutely right. In order to establish a goal, it must be a community goal. And it must be done by the president, membership chair, and the board of directors, and you of course announced it to the board. And one of the better ways is to bring the board in and help you set that goal. What's realistic? And what's realistic for your club may be very different than what's realistic for another club down the line. But why would we want to do that? What are we doing? What are we doing when we set that goal? Tell me, anybody out there. Right here in the dark blue shirt with the sunglasses on the top of his head and a beautiful mustache. Why would we want to include all of those people in the establishment of that goal?
Because they're the ones that are going to be able to actually achieve it.
Okay, they're the ones going to be able to achieve it. And what are we doing when we do that? Right here. We're getting a commitment, exactly. Okay, and we call that the buy-in. All right? You've got to get your club to buy in. Because you see, the truth of the matter is, if you set the goal by yourself, it ain't going to happen. And if you set the goal by yourself, it ain't going to happen. But if a committee sets the goal, like you did, and then you get the buy-in from your board of directors, and they say, yes, we're going to do that, then you really have established something that can be accomplished. Okay? All right, I'm going to let you sit down for now. Give him a hand. Are you ready for me?
Oh, sure. Let's do it.
So, I'm sure he shared this with you, did he not?
No, the previous member chair did.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. You already answered that question. And did you study this?
I haven't studied.
Oh, now that's a good answer, because that way you're not held responsible for anything that's in there. Okay, so what do you think the first thing you should do after you receive this packet that you should actually do? Read it. See, what we discover is that people are not always reading this. And as I said earlier, we made it simple for you.
Yes.
Some people have a hard time reading, but we made it very simple. What do you think is contained in this little packet? Do you have any idea at all?
Information.
He is sharp. I mean, I haven't had that sharp of an answer yet. But what type of information do you think is in there?
On the Ignite program and creating the membership plans.
It's pretty good dancing.
Yep.
All right. So in here, we have the Premier Program. Do you know what the Premier Program is?
Not completely.
Okay, but your club was one of the very first one to
Yes.
achieve that.
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
Actually, I do member, so.
Are you?
Yeah.
How long have you been in?
About 2 months.
Congratulations! You never knew that you were going to be drilled up here, but coming to, you just came here to learn, not to be
That
drilled.
is correct.
You know what? I'm going to give you a reprieve. Go down, sit down. All right. Let's see if I can get how many hands I can get. How many of you read the pamphlet? Nobody wants to put their hand up because they know I'm going to ask the question. What's in the pamphlet? All right. Who knows what's in the pamphlet? Any one of several things. I know you know because you got brought in 12 members, okay? So I'm not going to let you answer. I want someone out there that has read it and thinks that they know something that's in there. Or what do you think what would you like to be in the pamphlet?
Strategy of ideas.
Strategy of ideas. All right, you're going to find in there 15 tips on how to bring members into your club. There's actually 20. But we call them the 15 tips. It's true, that's true. Huh? They're called the 15 tips. And the reason there are 20 of them is because this is a living document. And when we very first did it, there were 15. And then last year, 5 more were added. And you can add anything that you want to it, but there are 15 strategies there. Let me ask membership chairman. And membership chairman, raise your hand. Okay, let's see. I'll go with you. I know, don't worry. Don't worry. How many strategies do you believe you should employ during a year? That's a good guess, okay. I like that because, see, most everybody else here thought, well, 1. That's what we all think, 1. You can sit. 4. 1 per quarter. Wow. 4. That's the recommendation. Therefore, where's that other membership chairman? Right over here, I think you were. How many, you're the membership chairman of your club. How many are on your committee today?
Today, 1.
1. Is that just you?
Yep.
Okay. How many do you think you should have?
We should have 3 others, so 4 total.
At least 4. At least 4. Why would we say that? Since we already know that we want to implement 4 strategies. A little help here. Why would we say that?
So we each could develop a strategy?
Yeah. So you each are in charge of one strategy. And we recommend that each strategy be tried per quarter. This one starts, that's number 1. After you finish with that, you go to number 2. Go to number 3, number 4. Now we're only talking about membership recruitment. Okay. What else is the most important thing in there?
Retention.
Retention, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Do you think that maybe you ought to get another member on your committee to be in charge of retention?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when you look at this, when you start reading it and looking at it, by the way, this information is in the pamphlet for you. When you start reading and looking at it, it says, oh, now I can spread this, because what we discovered is this. If we do not spread this work around, if we do not begin to get everybody involved in it, guess what happens? It all falls on 2 people's shoulders. Who would that be?
President.
And the chairman. And the truth of the matter is there's too much work, because how many people do we want to get involved in our strategies? Everyone. All right. Now, listen to me carefully. The goal is to get everyone involved. If you do not have a strategy on how to get everyone involved, then that means no one's involved. Do you hear me? That might be complicated. If we stand up there and say, it is everybody's responsibility to bring in a new member, that is a nonsense statement. It is true, but it's a nonsense statement because it means nothing to no one. Okay? But if we now have a strategy on how to get everybody involved, and we implement that, now all of a sudden we're getting them involved. Because let me tell you this, We think, and you've seen this statement before, just go out and ask. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Not everybody's going to ask. In fact, most of the people are not going to ask for a variety of reasons. And we don't need to go into why they don't ask. We're just going to say, if they won't. All right? But there are a myriad of other things that can be done that would involve everybody. Does anyone know what we call that in this particular plan? Now you can answer what you achieved and tell us what that is that you achieved in the first time in this district that your club achieved. You are a what kind of club? Premier club. Inside of this folder you will find a whole chart and a whole outline of what it is to become a premier club. Now I need to tell you something, and it's probably going to surprise you, and it may not. We implemented the beginning portion of this last year. We lead all of North America in the growth. All of North America. And we ought to congratulate ourselves because, hey, all of North America also implemented programs all over the place. But these two zones led all of North America by a large margin.
All right.
Now I want to give you the stunner. One of our districts, we have in these two zones 23 districts now. So I'm only talking about one of 23 districts, your district. One of our districts led all but 2 of the zones. A zone has 23 or 24 districts. One of our districts led all but 2 of the zones, and there are 12 zones. So they led 10 zones, 1 district. That district, interestingly enough, had 100% of its clubs become premier clubs.
Wow.
So now we say to ourselves, hey, does this program work or doesn't it? And the answer is real simple for me. It does work. And it has a lot of ways for you to do things. It is not, I have to step here and then I have to step there and so forth. It is a living document, I've said that already, and it's open, and you'll find number 15 on the 15 tips says, your own way. If you don't like anything you're reading here, do it your own way. Now, when we established this particular concept and idea back in 2001, out of the 530 districts that existed at that particular time, and we told the governors they can do that, we had all but 5 districts grow, all but 5. And we had 5 other districts that wanted to do their own way, and they also grew, okay? So your own way works, and we're not putting any restriction on any of you to do anything that you don't want to do. And you need to understand that, because I had one governor come to me, and he said, Ken, I need to apologize to you. When you set out for the membership plan, I was ticked that you are trying to shove this down our throats. And he said, I'm apologizing to you today because I knew I had to do something in membership, and all of a sudden you handed me a plan. When I read it, I said, oh my gosh, I can follow this. And you took away, not took away, but gave to me a ton of work that I would have had to do just to try to figure it out. And so I'm saying the same thing to you. There's a ton of work that has gone into the development of these plans. Your Roy, where are you, Roy?
Right here.
He has a 100-page manual. And when he gets through it, and there's a lot there, and you know, Roy, I teased you a lot, but let me tell you, I know it takes a lot of time to digest that. I know it upside down and backwards and so forth. And that's why we say it's going to take us several years to really get the foundation of what it is that we're attempting to do here. But he has 100-page books. Every one of the presidents has a pamphlet which has basically 8 pages, including the Premier Program, including a retention program, including strategies for development. All right. Now, how am I doing time-wise? Have I still got about another hour?
Yes.
Are you guys tired of me yet? Okay. Let's get down to your questions. Probably have some questions, and I'll answer them. And we will talk about the strategies of development, the strategies of retention, and the Premier Club. And the first question I want to ask you is this. There are 3 concepts that you must recognize, and we've talked about a couple of them here, in order for you to be successful in any membership plan. And this is a hard question I'm asking you. Does anyone have any ideas? And let's do a little bit of guessing, and so don't worry about having a right or wrong answer here. What are the concepts that, in order for us to have success, must take place? I want you to think in the broad perspective. I don't want you to think in the minute. It's broad. What do you think has to take place?
Buy-in?
Raise your hand so I know where you're at.
The buy-in?
Okay, you have to have buy-in. That's very, very good. What is it that you're buying in? That's not one of the, by the way, that's not one of the 3 things that I want, but it is part of what we're doing. So what is it that you're wanting them to buy in?
To the goal.
To the goal, okay? All right, so all of the clubs need to have goals, and that again is not, that's too narrow. It's part of it. It's all part of it. You were going to say something, Larry?
Attract new members.
Okay, that's what we're doing. We're talking about attracting new members. How do we do this in our clubs? How do we do this? This is key.
Consistency.
Consistency, okay, now we're getting a little bit closer to what I'm after, okay? We're getting consistent on what it is that we're doing. What is it? What is the word that I'm looking for? Try it.
Presentation of Rotary.
Okay, presentation of Rotary and its service is part of it. What are we doing? Engaging, okay. Planning, okay, you're so close. Commitment, but that is one. That, you hit it on the nose.
Oh, if he's giving away money, I got
It's a $100 bill for you. That's yours. Anybody that can get these answers deserves that. Now, these are tough. Okay, we're going to talk about how to get
motivation comes up.
You know what I discovered when I started giving away money? People start listening a little bit better. And you get to keep that, okay? All right, don't. Put it away before someone else takes it.
Wow.
There's a big prize for us.
We're going to lunch.
Am I invited? Okay. All right, so everything that you've been saying means that we must focus. Okay, now you take all the answers that we're giving out there, all of them relate to it. Focus, 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 focus. We must focus on what it is that we're doing. And focusing does not mean we stand up there and say, look, we need more members. It is not that. It means that we have strategies, we have concepts, we're doing this. We have a report every single month in our board meeting. How is the strategy working? Why is it working? Why is it failing? What are you doing on your committees? What is the 4 or 5 people on your committee doing? How are they doing this? How are they doing that? This is what we call focusing. What do we have to do with our club in order to make our club a better club? Someone said earlier. I think that was, I want to say Monty, but it's not Monty. It's Modi. Yeah. Well, it's Monty for me. But anyway, yeah, and he's right. You know, what is it that we're focusing on? What are we looking at? Okay. So we have to focus. That's number 1. Number 2, or number 3, is commitment. We have to get a commitment, and there's a third one. Anyone know? Way in the back.
Follow through.
Follow through. That is one of the key elements. I call it a return and report system, particularly on the zone level. Particularly on the zone level. It's easy inside your club, but on the zone level, that needs to be done. So, Roy, where are you? You need to have a return and report system. How are they doing? What can I do to help you? I'm going to send my people, my minions out there to help you to achieve what it is that you're trying to accomplish, okay? But you won't know that unless you get a return and report system. So you have to establish that. And these are big concepts that I'm talking about, and they don't happen overnight. However, they are in the book for you to study and read and show you how to do that, all right? But there's one other thing that has to happen. We've already talked about it, but no one seems to have picked up on it right here.
The deadline, when it has to be done by?
Good, and that's part of the return and report system, absolutely. You must have those deadlines, and you must have the report. You as club presidents, you should be having the return and report system every single month. What are we doing here? What are we doing on retention? What kind of program are we doing for education? You know, did we give this person the assignment? And why didn't we give that person the assignment? You know, does this person now have a new friend in Rotary or not? These are retention concepts that I'm throwing out at you right now. Okay, without a return and report system, you don't know. And then people say to themselves, well, why is it that we're losing? We're losing because we're not focused and we're not paying attention. We're not having our return and report system. Okay, any other concepts? Right here.
I think it needs to be cyclical and dynamic, so that at the end part of the process that there's a return, and then you know, it's constantly in motion as far as dynamic, as far as adapting and changing.
Okay, absolutely right. And when you say cyclical, remember the concept here is we're going to do 4 of these every year, and there's a lot of them. Listen, I can give you 150, 200 different concept strategies, all of which have been worked and proven. We've only given you 15 because that's more than you'll read.
Accountability.
Accountability, and that's again part of the return and report system.
Support?
Okay, now you're getting close to that third element that I want. What do you mean by support?
Well, supporting the membership at both the local and the district level.
Okay, that's
The
your
district
job,
board.
that's right. And that means what?
One thing you can do, evaluate what works and
Yeah.
what's working well and what's
Yeah.
not working.
I'm glad you said that because see, not everything will always work in every club. As a world membership chairman, and by the way, you'll know that I'll be the world chairman again, not this year, but next year. Okay, so you'll see Ignite going around the world. And you also need to know that Ignite is already being implemented in many other parts of the United States and Canada, at least certain elements of it, okay, because the program's really good. But, I'm sorry, I forgot what you said.
Me?
Yeah.
Evaluate what works.
Yeah,
and what doesn't.
yeah, you need to evaluate, and what I was going to tell you was this. I received a phone call from Brazil, and they said, Chairman Ken, we've got the best idea in the world. In Brazil, we listened to Brazil because Brazil was growing at that particular time. I said, share it with us so I can share it around the world. And he shared the idea, and he said, what do you think? I said, that sounds like a wonderful idea. You continue to do it. I probably will say some things around the world, but it certainly isn't going to work everywhere. Anyone want to guess what that idea was? In Brazil, they hired headhunters. And the headhunters went out, and every member they brought in, they got paid for it. You know? Did I say to them, are you crazy? No. Because you see, their culture and our culture is different. And I told them, if it works for you, I'm not going to stop you from doing it. But I'll tell you, in the United States, most of the reaction would be just like yours, like, oh. Okay? Right. So yes, you have to evaluate it, exactly. And you have to involve how many of your club members? All of them. And that's the third thing. Every member has a role. So let's get down into the three areas, and let's start talking some specifics. What kind of strategies? Let's talk for a minute about strategies. Okay? How do you implement a strategy? And you can take anyone. I'll give you a strategy. And then you tell me how you're going to implement it, and let's see what areas we can fill in. Let's make the assumption that you have a whole bunch of people that left your club over the last 10 years, still living in the area, and you've decided that you would like to try to re-invite them back into Rotary. How are you going to do that? That is one strategy, and we're going to work on that right now. So, okay, you can start with it.
First of all, contact them and then see what their reasons were for leaving, and if maybe an e-club can help them out.
Oh, so now you've got another strategy on the outside, which is what Roy said, we're recruiting towards Rotary, and that is, hey, maybe you can't spend the time, but you can on the e-club. Oh, and you're an e-clubber.
Yes.
Well, everybody, she would like more members for her club, and would you help her? Another great strategy. Okay. All right, but you see what we're doing here. All right. So, but what's the first thing that you need to do? Before that?
Find out why.
Oh, identify. Who's going to do that?
Membership chair.
Membership chair.
That, membership chair. Are you gonna do that? Well, you.
Well, I have.
You have, all right, good. How many membership chairs have done that? You might want another person on your committee to help you do that, because we're talking about a strategy now. Well, so we have to analyze what we're doing. We don't analyze, we just say, well, we're gonna invite all the past members, and this is what a club president does. Our goal is to go out and invite and if you know any member out there that left the club that might want to rejoin the club, I'd like you to ask them and let's invite them in. And then 2 months pass and nobody comes, and you ask the question, what happened? So you have to identify it first. You have to have a list, and someone has to sit down with the club secretary or go into RI or wherever they can find that information and get the list. What's the second thing you would do? Now I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty of a strategy here.
Why did they leave?
Yeah, why did?
Okay, so you want to find out why they left, because I certainly don't want to get to someone that says, you know, I left Rotary because this guy that's still in Rotary murdered my wife. And, you know, I'm just not coming back no matter what. Okay. But there are some reasons why you would not ask certain people to come back. Or, you know, this guy left Rotary because he was a thief, and we don't want thieves in Rotary, and we don't want to invite that person back. So you do have to find that out, okay? What else would you do? Yeah?
What members currently in the club maybe have a relationship with that person?
Wow, now we're really talking, aren't we? Did you hear that? Congratulations, that is one of the key elements. Because you see, once again, to stand out and make an announcement, as most of us do, is not going to work. So now we've discovered that Jeffrey here in the front knows Sam in the club. And what do you do with Jeffrey?
I would call Sam.
Well, how do you do that? Who talks to him?
The membership chairman.
Oh, the membership chairman. Well, which one? Do you see what I'm doing? The one in charge of this particular program, okay? So, you see, that's why you have to have a committee. That's why you say, okay, so this is what I would do. I say, okay, we've got these 50 names here that left the club in the last 10 years, 5 a year we lost. And so we have 50 names. We've done all of our analysis, and now we think that we're going to invite of these 50, these 30 people. Okay, and now, who should we do? Who should we call? And we finally decided that Jeffrey needs to go contact Sam. So what do we do? What do we do with Jeffrey? How do we do it? Ask him. I know that sounds simple, but I'm going to tell you something, and you're right, by the way, okay? But we don't do that. We don't. This is how you do it. You're on, Jeff. Come up here.
All right, Jeff.
You know, Jeff, I know you're a very good friend of Sam, and he left because he had some hardships in his business, and of course the economy's come back now. Do you think he's ready to come back? We'll find out. Well, that's what we think, that it would be a good idea to go back and ask him, but we would like you to do that. Will you go and ask Jeff? Sure. And would you report back to me, how long do you need to do that?
Week, 10 days.
Let's make it 2 weeks from now. Would you report back to me whether or not he's interested in rejoining? Thank you. What did I do? Personal, commitment, follow-up. Now I'm going to tell you something. I guarantee you, if you will start working your strategies as we just did, you will have success. Okay? Not 100% success, but what you're going to do is you're going to have a real membership program. You're going to have a program that this is a strategy. We've worked this for 1 month, and we go to the next strategy. And we work that for 1 month. I mean, not 1 month, 1 quarter. 4 per year. Okay? 3 months. And when you start working your strategies, and they're in there, you'll find that you'll have success. Now, here's some interesting facts about people that left Rotary. 2 of our past presidents that I am aware of left Rotary, came back in, and became president of Rotary International. 2. Wow. One of my very best friends left Rotary, came back in, became a director of Rotary. My brother-in-law, whom I walked with every day for 5 years after he quit, I finally asked him after 5 years, and this is what he said to me. You know, I love Rotary, and I've been waiting for you to ask me. You know I went through that terrible time of all people, you know what I went through. And you also knew in 1 year I was able to straighten it out. And we've been walking for 5 years. In 4 years, you did not ask me. Of course I want to be. And of course, he's a past president of our club now and a whole bunch of other things. That's how close it gets to you. But you see, we're not seeing it. We had no strategy. Nobody ever asked me to do that. If someone had asked me, I said, well, yeah. Do you know what he said to me? I know that I cannot ask to join Rotary, that I have to be invited. Now, how sad is that? Because he could have asked me any time. But in his mind, he didn't think that was appropriate. So I'm telling you these stories so that you kind of get a feel of what it is that we're talking about and why it is that we're not growing, because we really are not working any strategies. Okay. Any questions about what I just talked about? In the back there.
Yeah, I've got the comment where we need to be creating more awareness about what Rotary does, the benefit of Rotary to the rest of the community.
Yeah.
Because we've just had a successful recruitment based on that program.
Yeah.
With somebody who came to us and said, I heard about you doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And he's now a member.
Yeah. And that is one strategy and one of the best strategies. We know that strong clubs will attract members. If you don't mind me using my own personal experience again, when I was a club president back in my 20s, a long time ago, my home club was 30 members. When we finished, we had 41. So we had that kind of growth in 1 year. And interestingly enough, back in that day, I didn't have any program, any strategy program, but we had one hell of a great community project, and people wanted to come and join our club. And so you are 100% correct, and that is one of the strategies that's listed in the book. Okay? So thank you for sharing that. All right, any other questions on strategies of recruitment? Okay, let's go to the next area. Is there any more questions?
Good programs as well.
Yes. Yeah. You will find that there in the book, there is a, and this is something that was added this year, was not in the original. So if you have an old one, you want to get the new one. How to analyze your club. Where are your weaknesses? And it's really nothing more than a questionnaire that asks you approximately 50 different types of questions, including one of them is, what kind of programs are you having? Can we improve in that particular area? Who should do that? Who should do that survey?
The program chair and the together.
Who else?
The membership chair.
Thank you. Remember, membership. This is all membership, okay? And yes, I would include those other people in this when you're doing that. You know, remember this. If you think you're going to take all of this responsibility on your shoulders as a president, you will fail. If you think that you're going to take all these responsibility as the membership chairman on your shoulders with no other help, you will fail. But if you begin to spread this work out and say, okay, we need to look at this, and we're taking your example, which is in our folder, and say, okay, let's get a committee and go to the president. If I was a membership chairman, say, hey, we ought to do this.